Hey guys, what is up? I am back with another video. In this video, I will be talking about my favorite anime of all time. Sword Art Online Abridged. Yeah. Now, whether you can actually call an abridged version of an anime your favorite anime of all time is up for debate, but it really is. Okay? Most people who watch this channel are probably fans of Dragon Ball because that's my main content on this channel. I do other stuff, but it's mostly Dragon Ball, which, if you're watching Dragon Ball YouTube videos, that means you are almost definitely familiar with Dragon Ball Z Abridged. That's not the only abridged anime. There are many others, including Sword Art Online Abridged. Now, those of you who, I made a Sword Art Online video a while back, so you know I actually do like Sword Art Online, right? Well, at least the first half of Season 1 was great, and then the second half of Season 1 was terrible, and then the first half of Season 2 was, like, okay, it was like, and then the second half of Season 2 was very different, but also pretty good. So, very quick review there of the original series so that we can better talk about the abridged series, which has some of the best writing I have ever seen. Not only in anime, not only in animated things at all, I just mean just altogether. In terms of TV shows, movies, the writing is so insanely hilarious and so good and so smart, but at the same time just so funny. Yeah, see, it's an abridged, which means it's comedic, right? And it is the most hilarious show I have ever seen. I've never been found laughing so hard than when I do at this show. That's because the way it delivers jokes, it always pays off. It'll sometimes build up to something that'll just be hilarious, or it will just be something that's just really quick in a dialogue, but it's always referencing something, and it always pays off hilariously. It's just this quick back and forth, witty dialogue that is so funny, and they do have a couple cutaway gags in there. Kind of like Family Guy, except way funnier than anything on Family Guy. It's great. But at the same time, besides the insane hilarity of this show, like, I cannot stress enough just how funny this show is. It is hilarious. It also just has really good characters. Now, obviously, as I'm calling it my favorite, I think it's better than the original. I think it is better than the original in a good bit of ways. But one of them, I think, is characters. It does characters overwhelmingly good. Each character has a nice distinct personality, that they're all very vibrant, and they all work very well together. Now, this is kind of weird to say, because obviously a lot of these characters, they're over the top, but at the same time, they're very real in the way that they feel and operate. They feel and operate in a kind of realistic, very human way that not a lot of other shows can really capture. And whenever a character is talking to another character, it all feels very natural. It feels like this is something that they would say. There's never a moment where you're like, oh, they wouldn't do that. And this leads to just great characters, builds to a great story. Now, unlike a lot of abridged anime, in a lot of abridged anime, they will basically follow the same plot with only a couple minor differences for jokes, but they pretty much, things go how they go in the actual anime. In this, it's kind of different. There are some significant plot differences between the original versus the abridged. There are some significant ones. I don't want to spoil what happens too much, because, like, there are the jokes in there, and there are lines in there and moments that are really good, and they're way better if you go in blind. Now, personally, I actually had seen Sword Art Online as well as Sword Art Online 2 before ever watching this show, right? Before ever watching the abridged. So I don't know what it's like to watch this show without the anime that's based off of. But besides a couple jokes, like there's a few jokes where you gotta watch the anime to really fully understand it. There's a few, but really it's very stand on its own. You can watch this without ever seeing the original and still be laughing super hard and still fully appreciate it. Again, it's only a couple jokes in there, right? Now, I can't really say the same for most other abridged. Now, that's not actually really taking anything away from other abridged shows. I'll use Dragon Ball Z abridged as an example. It's a hilarious, well-written thing, etc. Yeah, you all know that I love Dragon Ball Z abridged. Now, in it though, if you don't watch Dragon Ball Z, then a lot of what happens won't really make sense to you if you don't know what happens in Dragon Ball Z. Now, I'm not saying this is bad, I'm just saying that Sword Art Online Abridged tries to be more standalone and succeeds on this. It could totally work as its own standalone thing. Now, obviously, it's completely rewritten. All the dialogue, completely rewritten, redubbed. The voice actors are great, by the way. Some really great performances on the voice acting part. Obviously, I've talked about the writing so much already, but I can't stress again, it is brilliant. Do not miss a line, because there are references to things that people have said in the past. Things that people say really come together. Like, they're not just like, okay, said this, forget it, whatever. Every line comes right after the next, and it all feels really great. And if somebody says something, it's not just forgotten, it'll be referenced and talked about later on a lot of the time. And yeah, now it really shows, and a lot of the relationships in this show work a lot better than they did in the original. I think Kirito and Asuna is the prime example of this. In the original, even though I liked it, I thought that it felt rushed when they got together. I thought it was like, oh, they didn't like each other, then it was like an episode, and then boom, they were together. Like, I thought it was kind of a rushed thing. It feels much more natural in this show. Feels like it flows and makes sense a lot more. And that just goes again into how the characters are better, because all the characters, there's no, even though it's a comedic show, the characters aren't really two-dimensional at all. Like, they're not one-dimensional, two-dimensional, you can use either one. These are fully fleshed out characters. Now, currently there are only 11 episodes, and these episodes range in length. I think the first one was like 8 minutes, but then the final one, episode 11, was 35 minutes. So these episodes, like, they do range in how long they are. I think most of them are like 15 to 20 minutes long. But each episode is brilliant. It's amazing. I am not actually sure if it is over, because each episode took a few months to make, and then they actually had to struggle a lot with keeping them on YouTube and copyright claims on them. I'm glad, good. It's very good, because now all the episodes are up on YouTube. Oh yeah, also this show, Sword Art Online Abridged, it was made by Something Witty Entertainment. Great job. So good. Now, as well as fantastic writing and dialogue that really bounces off one another, and deep characters that are not one-dimensional, the show's animation is, of course, amazing. Now, of course, you can't really fully give credit, you can't give credit to Something Witty Entertainment for the animation, because it's the animation from the original show, right? That's just where it's from. But a lot of it is, or maybe all of it, is completely re-edited, except for some fight scenes. And it's put together in a very nice flowing way. There's some major plot points versus the original that are changed. Now, if you haven't seen Sword Art Online and you haven't seen Sword Art Online Abridged, I would say you should watch at least the first half of Sword Art Online before you get into Sword Art Online Abridged, because currently, and anyone that has seen this show knows this, Sword Art Online, the way that it works, the first half of Season 1 versus the second half are almost completely separate from each other. They're pretty much like separate seasons, completely separate arcs, plot lines, and it's pretty well accepted, and this is also my personal opinion, that the first half is so much better than the second half. Now, currently, the show, in terms of where it meets up with the original, Abridged versus original, Abridged has done the first half arc of the show. That's what it's done so far. Now, I do not know if they're going to do the second half. They really finished out the first half like it was the series finale for Abridged, and I would not be surprised if they didn't go into the second half, because the second half of Season 1 for the original Sword Online is pretty terrible. So I would not at all be surprised. Though, of course, as you know right now, I do have a lot of faith in Something Witty Entertainment. I'm not sure that even they could really fix that mess that the second half is. But if they do, I will be very happy. I will be happy to get more hilarious entertainment. Now, other characters besides Kirito and Asuna, which are very relatable. Kirito is like this. He's a snarky, kind of annoying, kind of douchebaggy character, but you still root for him. He's really good. There's Asuna, who, unlike her show counterpart, is much more of a character. She's snarky also. She's kind of shy, but also pretty like bossy. It's just hilarious. Other characters are like Klein, who is just this. He's kind of a noob at the game. He's typically pretty nice. He's kind of a noob, though he's an average guy. Hilarious. There's Tiffany, who is a man, for one, and he's a blacksmith, and there's some hilarious stuff there. There's Silica, who she might be in one of the most hilarious episodes. Now, as well as the writing and everything like that, and all the humor, there actually are some really good, serious moments in the show. The finale there's some pretty serious moments in the finale, and stuff that hits way harder than when it happened in the original. Like, in the original, a moment happened, and you're like, oh, okay, that's sad, or whatever, that hits kind of hard, but then in this show, it's like, oh. And I think it's because they do the characters so much better, right? You care what happens to these characters much more than you did in the original, or just in most animes in general. So when a moment, and those of you that have seen it know the big finale moment I'm talking about, when it hits hard. And then there's a line spoken that I won't say what it is, as I don't want to spoil what the line is, but anyone who has seen it knows the line I'm talking about, where if I just said it, you'll be like, well, when could that possibly hit hard? But it does. And it's also hilarious, but it hits hard. Anyways, guys, that is why I love Sword Art Online Abridged, Something Witty Entertainment. Great channel. I will give a link to their channel in the comments section below. I do recommend watching it. It is an amazing show. Thanks for watching. Peace.